One of our closest neighbors, Mars, the red planet, has always been the go-to place for the search of extraterrestrial life forms. In real life and in science fiction, Mars has an atmosphere, maybe water in its liquid form somewhere, and it also sits on the outer boundary of the habitable zone of our Sun. This is why science fiction authors and movie makers have created a library of works that showcases the red planet as being a place where alien civilizations exist, somehow hidden from our telescopes and our space probes. In these sci-fi works, Martians exist in a wide variety of forms, depending on the authors. Some are peaceful like the one from the movie My Favorite Martian, while others are minding their own business like from John Carter of Mars, the Bosumians. But there are many others that are deadly, xenocidal, and are portrayed as alien invaders of our world, or even just extremely hostile to humans who go there to Mars. So here in this video we will explore the most terrifying Martians that have been portrayed in movies, books, and shows and games. So let's get banging. The first one here are the Dags from Mars Attacks. So these Martians from Mars Attacks, which are also called as Dags, are weird, creepy, and kind of funny aliens who come out from Mars and cause chaos on Earth. The movie starts with them pretending to be friendly, but that doesn't last long as they soon start attacking all over the world. These Martians look very strange. They are skinny and pale with big heads, and most of their head is actually an exposed brain. Their faces look like skulls with huge eyes and red pupils. Their blood is bright green and slimy, and their bodies seem light and fragile, almost like birds. Even though they look weak, they are still very dangerous, using highly advanced weapons like ray guns that can instantly destroy people. The Martians are cruel and they enjoy destroying things. They don't feel bad at all, and they seem to attack just for fun, making them more like chaotic invaders than serious conquerors. They also have super sensitive hearing, which turns out to be their biggest weakness, as high-pitched sounds could hurt them so badly that their heads would explode. In the story, it is discovered that a certain kind of music can defeat them, and when it is played, the Martians are wiped out and Earth is saved. Number 2. Calvin. So Calvin from Life is a terrifying alien life form that starts off tiny but quickly becomes one of the deadliest creatures ever discovered. The story follows a group of astronauts who came back from Mars and are on the space station, and they brought a single dormant cell from Mars and they bring it back to life, naming it Calvin. At first it seems harmless and even fascinating, but things go wrong really fast when it escapes and begins hunting the crew. In simple terms, the movie is about an alien growing stronger and hungrier and smarter while picking off the astronauts one by one, turning the whole station into a trap. What makes Calvin so scary is how it works. Each of its cells can act like a muscle, a brain, eyes, and a stomach all at once, meaning it doesn't have a normal body limits like humans or animals. As it eats, it grows bigger, stronger, and smarter very quickly, going from a tiny blob into a large octopus-like creature with long tentacles and a translucent body. It doesn't even need a mouth because it absorbs and digests things directly through its body, like amoebas, breaking them down completely. Calvin is also extremely tough. It can survive fire, electricity, and even the vacuum of space, which makes it almost impossible to kill. It is also very intelligent, figuring out traps, finding ways to escape, and even using humans to help it move or survive. Behavior-wise, it isn't evil in a human sense. It's more like a super predator just trying to survive. But that still makes it really deadly because it shows no mercy towards humans. Sometimes it even acts curious, like when it first gently touches a lab rat before killing it, but that curiosity quickly turns into violence. By the end of the movie, the remaining crew try to stop it from reaching Earth, knowing it could wipe out all life just by being there, just like it may have done back on Mars millions of years ago. They try to send it to space, but things go wrong, and in a dark twist, Calvin ends up landing on Earth with one of the astronauts still alive, which begs the question, will it become an unstoppable apex predator and cause a global disaster and wipe out all life like it did on Mars millions of years ago? Number 3. The Squid Martians from War of the Worlds. See, the War of the Worlds has inspired many different versions of Martians over the years, and each one changes how these aliens look and behave while they keep the same basic idea, as these are super intelligent invaders trying to take over the Earth. In the original 1898 story by H.G. Wells, the Martians are very strange and almost nothing like humans. They are basically gigantic heads with big eyes kinda like squids, and lots of thin tentacles instead of arms. They don't eat food normally but survive by injecting the blood from other creatures, including humans, directly into their bodies. Because they can't move well on Earth, they stay inside these huge three-legged machines called tripods that do all the work and all the fighting. Later versions like the early ideas by Ray Harryhausen keep this octopus-like design while others change it a lot. Some versions like the Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds and the War of the Worlds Goliath go back to the original idea, showing them as big, tentacle octopus-like beings that drink blood and act with a cold intelligence, sometimes even making them more dangerous by giving them immunity to Earth's bacteria. Other adaptations take even bigger creative changes with the Martians. In The War of the Worlds, directed by Steven Spielberg of 2005, the aliens are not even from Mars anymore, and they have bodies that look similar to their tripod machines with 3 legs and smaller arms, and they reproduce in a strange non-human way with spores. Meanwhile, the Asylum Pictures created a version where the aliens look like floating green discs with tentacles that spit acid, making them feel more like living weapons than creatures. The Martians in The Great Martian War of 1913 till 1917 look more insect-like, like arthropods with bulky bodies and clawed tentacles, while The War of the Worlds, the true story, stays very close to the original design, showing them as slow-moving but highly advanced species struggling with Earth's gravity. Other versions of The War of the Worlds give them an even more unique look, making them resemble insect-like creatures with long legs and a tube-like proboscis, which they use to feed on humans, and this is from the BBC. And they even show a bit of emotion here, which is rare. Across all these versions, however, the Martians change a lot in appearance, but they are almost always shown as highly intelligent, powerful, ruthless and dangerous beings. Now next, number 4, the White Martians from DC Comics. The White Martians are powerful and dangerous shape-shifting creatures and aliens from Mars in the world of DC Comics, and they are known for being the more violent and aggressive counterparts of the peaceful Green Martians like John Johns. Long ago, both White and Green Martians were actually one single race called the Burning, a super powerful species that could reproduce using fire and had almost no limits. Because they were so dangerous, the Guardians of the Universe genetically split them into 2 separate species about 20,000 years ago, giving both groups a deep fear of fire so they could never reach their full power or potential again. After this, the Green Martians became calm and thoughtful, while the White Martians became brutal warriors, which led to a huge war between them. In the end, most White Martians were defeated and they were exiled into another dimension called the Still Zone, although some escaped and continued to exist, including a few who later came to Earth and then later in massive numbers to invade the world. The White Martians also secretly came to ancient Earth and experimented on early humans, which changed human evolution and created the metagene, meaning some humans here would develop superpowers instead of all of them evolving naturally into super beings. And in terms of abilities, the White Martians are extremely powerful with many capabilities like shape-shifting, super strength and super durability, which makes them one of the strongest aliens in the DC Comics, or the DC. Number 5. The Spectral or Ghost Martians from The Ghost of Mars. Ghost of Mars is a movie which shows a very different kind of Martian threat, not physical aliens but ancient invisible spirits from a long-dead Martian civilization. In this story, Mars has been mostly terraformed by humans, but when miners accidentally open an old underground vault, they release these Martian ghosts, which immediately begin possessing people. These Martians here don't have bodies anymore, so they take over human hosts, twisting them into violent, almost tribal warriors who harm themselves and others in brutal, ritual-like ways. The scary part is that they can't be killed normally. If a possessed person dies, the spirit just jumps into someone else, spreading like a chain reaction. These Martian spirits seem to see humans as invaders who have taken over their planet, and so their attack feels more like revenge than random violence. They are ancient, they are angry and relentless, turning entire groups of humans into a savage army. The only way to push them out of one body is through strong drugs or extreme mental disruption, but even that is temporary, because in the end even a massive explosion like a nuke doesn't fully stop them, because how can physical things destroy the immaterial ones? Next, number 6 are the Ice Warriors from Doctor Who. So Ice Warriors are an ancient race of reptilian Martians who are both fearsome warriors and surprisingly complex beings. They are tall, lizard-like humanoids, often over 7 feet tall, with scaly skin, sharp claws, fangs, and a cold hissing voice, and they usually wear heavy biomechanical armor that works almost like a second skin, which is why they are sometimes described as cyborg-like beings. Underneath the armor, however, they look more organic and animal-like, but still very intelligent. They prefer cold environments and struggle in warmer climates like Earth-like conditions, moving slowly unless necessary. These Martians live long lives, sometimes hundreds of years, and they're actually herbivores despite their aggressive appearance. Their society is built around strong ideas of honor, rank, and tradition, almost like ancient warrior cultures, which is why they are sometimes compared to Vikings. What makes them interesting is that they are not just villains here, but they are capable of both extreme violence and also deep emotion. They can wage wars and destroy entire civilizations, but at the same time, they can show respect, compassion, and even sadness. Over time, some Ice Warriors became more peaceful and even joined galactic alliances, and so these are more of a complex type of Martian rather than terrifying. Now, number 7, the Martians from Invaders from Mars. So Invaders from Mars is a movie from 1953, and it had a 1986 remake, and these movies feature a very creepy and different kind of Martian invasion where the aliens don't attack openly at first but secretly take control of humans. The story follows a boy, David, who sees a spaceship land and slowly realizes that people around him, including his own parents, are acting strangely because they have been taken over mentally. These Martians are believed to live underground on Mars because the surface is unlivable now, and when they came to Earth, they stay hidden, controlling humans using implants placed in their backs or in the back of their necks, and these Martians stay underground even here on Earth. Instead of destroying cities right away, they quietly replace human behavior, turning people into emotionless servants who follow orders without question. Their goal, however, is to take over Earth and use its resources, especially copper, which they need for their technology. And they also see humans as a threat because of space exploration reaching Mars. The Martians themselves are shown as strange, somewhat grotesque beings with large heads and slimy, organic-looking bodies, with big eyes or even deadly eyes and sharp teeth, and they often operate through a central intelligence like a hive mind deep underground. Now next, number 8, the Plasma Martians from X-Files. Martians from the X-Files have a very unusual look because they are not solid creatures at all but plasma-based beings, almost like ghost-like entities. They appear as floating face-shaped forms that resemble the famous face on Mars, looking vaguely human but distorted and unsettling. These Martians don't invade with ships or armies. Instead, they act like parasites, attaching themselves to human hosts and living inside of them. Once inside, they form a strong bond with the host, sometimes even making the person's face briefly change into the alien's own form, into the face of Mars. While they can exist outside the body, they seem to prefer staying inside humans because it gives them a stability or control in the environment. What makes them especially disturbing is that they don't just control their host physically but also affect them mentally, creating a constant internal struggle. In the story, one astronaut becomes infected during a space mission and spends years trying to stop the entity from spreading to others, even sabotaging missions to protect humanity. In the end, the bond between the host and the alien is so strong that when the host sacrifices himself, the Martian dies too. See, these Martians feel like haunting parasitic forces rather than aliens, but they are still aliens. Number 9. The Martians from Alien Conquest. This is a low-budget sci-fi movie made by the Asylum, and it's basically a modern loose take on the War of the Worlds. The story follows a scientist called Dr. Alison Fisher, who spots something being launched from Mars towards Earth, and soon after, alien ships crash land and start attacking cities. The Martians in this movie are all about taking over the Earth and changing it into a planet like Mars. They arrive in ships and they use huge tripod war machines that walk around and destroy everything with powerful heat rays, instantly burning crowds and machines, and they also release strange gases into the air to slowly change the Earth's atmosphere so they can survive better. One of their creepiest tools, however, is the red weed, which is a fast-growing alien plant that spreads everywhere and even grabs people, making this movie feel more gory and more cosmic horror than just a plain invasion story. The Martians themselves stay mostly hidden inside the machines, but when they are seen, they look like humanoids but with a squid-like head with tentacles on their faces, very much like Cthulhu. But in the end, like in the original War of the Worlds, they lose because they can't handle Earth's bacteria. But here humans figure it out and fight back using science, using the bacteria instead of just the Martians stumbling into these microorganisms and dying naturally. And lastly, here we have the Blisk from Destroy All Humans. The Blisk here are the main villains in the game called Destroy All Humans Part 2, and they're basically an ancient alien race from Mars who want revenge after being almost wiped out by another alien species called the Furons. The game follows Crypto, the player character, as he uncovers their secret plan on Earth, which involves manipulating humans and building up nuclear power so they can survive and strike back. The Blisk themselves are pretty scary looking. They are big, tough creatures that look like a mix between a cockroach and a lobster, with hard shells, small heads, sharp teeth, and one claw much bigger than the other. They walk in a hunched way and they are super strong, using their big claw to shoot lasers or even smashing enemies. One important thing about them is they depend on radiation to survive, so they spread it around and collect materials like uranium to stay alive, especially on Earth where conditions aren't really perfect for them. Instead of just invading openly, at first they secretly take over human society by disguising themselves as Soviet leaders and pushing events like the Cold War to increase nuclear weapons, all as part of their long-term revenge plan against the Furons. They also use spores to infect humans, turning them into aggressive mutants, into many types of mutants, and releasing living clouds that chase people to infect them, which makes their invasion more like a spreading plague than just an army attack. But in the end, Crypto 138 destroys their warship in Tunguska, killing their leader, Chairman Milenkov, and destroying their base on the moon called Solaris, and they are rendered extinct after the Furons intercept their distress signal, ensuring the species is totally eradicated, with only a few leaderless remnants left in the place of Russia called Tunguska. And so that is the end of the video on the 10 most terrifying Martians from science fiction. It is a comprehensive work or a listing from many different sources from games, movies, books, and shows. And so with that we end this video. Now do hit the like button for support and also subscribe to be a part of Legion Notebook. So till the next time, take care boys.